I'm holding. All right, welcome in
Perfect.
everyone. Yeah, welcome in everyone. My name's Zach. I'm from the Boise site. Today we got a 30-minute presentation, although I can rant on this forever. So we're going to try our best to answer your questions at the end. We're going to have this recorded. Just a little background on myself. I am from the Boise site. I've been here for about 3 years now, and I've been in the fitness industry for over 10 years. Graduated from CSUN, kinesiology, personal trainer, group fitness, and movement specialist, just like Hannah is. And me, I'm really passionate about this topic. I really want to emphasize how to do effective strength training and then the health benefits. The health benefits, I think, are so underrated, and there's so much good research out there, and we just want to really communicate how you can get started. And I'm joined with Hannah. So Hannah, go ahead and
Yeah.
introduce yourself.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining today. This is our strength training webinar. I'm super passionate about this content as well. My background is I was a gymnast my whole life. When I was going throughout the sport of gymnastics, I found myself dealing with a lot of injuries to the point that I was unable to walk for multiple months at a time. Especially in college, I had some very severe knee injuries. And truthfully, my mental health was struggling. I wasn't able to stay active. I was going to lose muscle, get weaker. I possibly was not going to return to the sport of gymnastics and continue my dream if it wasn't for strength training. Even though I wasn't able to do any lower body exercises, I was able to get into the gym, do some upper body, maintain my muscle, maintain my current weight, and it just made me mentally a lot better as well. And so ever since then, I've just been super passionate about the sport of strength training. And I'm sure that many of you on here also have some type of deep connection with strength training, or maybe you're joining because you're wanting to find out how strength training might be able to affect you and help you. So thank you all for joining. It impacted my life, and I'm hoping that it will also impact yours, and that the content you learn today is going to be really powerful and motivating.
Awesome. Thanks, Hannah. If I can get this to move. There we go. All right, everyone. So we're going to have a little poll for you. Please answer. We're going to ask you, what level are you? Okay. So what level are you when it comes to strength training? So for the beginner level, that's maybe you're someone who's new. You're not familiar with strength training, or maybe you only do some body weight or boot camp classes and you're not really doing a structured strength workout. If you're intermediate, you are doing a consistent workout 1 to 2 days of free weights. And then if you're advanced, that's someone who is probably doing 3 or more, and you're comfortable with doing barbell lifts. So yeah, Hannah, I'm sure you shared the chat, right? I can't see on my end, but
Yeah, we've
okay,
got
cool.
that
Yeah,
poll
so
up. So go ahead and
yeah,
take
so
time to decide where you're at.
nice. And Hannah, for you, I can't see, so you're gonna have to like let me know what people say.
Yeah,
Uh,
I definitely will. Okay, looks like we're getting some beginner, a little bit more towards intermediate, a few advanced. So right now we're at 31% beginner, 48% intermediate, and then 20% is advanced. So kind of across the board, but majority of us are in the middle of it all, maybe more on the beginner side. So good stuff. The good thing about this is that we have an entirely like program coming up called Level Up. The goal of the program is to identify what level you currently are and strive to move up a level. So that's why we're asking you this. Analyze where you're at, and hopefully by the end of today, you're going to want to join our program and level up. Beginners moving to intermediate, intermediate moving up to advanced. And if you're advanced, there are always ways to still progress forward. So that's why we are having you answer this question. Good stuff. So lots of intermediate, beginner, and advanced. Looking good.
awesome. Yeah. So we're gonna move on. So we're gonna talk about what is effective strength training. And yeah, so
Yeah,
Hannah, go
so
ahead, let us know.
before we go into exactly what effective strength training is, let's talk about why we're breaking this down. Us fitness professionals in the gym, we commonly see the regulars coming in, which we love that you're coming in and exercising. But what we see is you're grabbing the same weight, you're doing the same exercises, you're doing your 3 sets of 10. We're maintaining, definitely. We're not exactly progressing. And that's the goal in life. We always want to get better. So we see that a lot. We see a lot of people coming to boot camp classes, Pilates, going to CrossFit gyms. Not to say any of those are bad options, but they're not going to be effective in gaining muscle and strength. And so that's why today we're breaking down how are you going to get stronger? How are you going to put muscle in your body and reap all the benefit that come from strength training? And us fitness professionals tend to use what's called the FIT VP principle to build strength. So the F in the FIT stands for frequency. How many days a week are you strength training? I is for intensity. What resistance are you using? What tempo are you using? You know, how fast are you doing your exercises? How long are you resting? And then how hard are you really pushing yourself to see how many reps you have in reserve? We always, as trainers, look at that. Say you finish your 10th rep, we like you to be where you could maybe do 2 more, but on that 12th rep was going to be really hard. You might fail. That's where we know you're at the right intensity. Then when we're talking about time, how long are you working out? As a beginner, maybe you're just doing 20 minutes. If you're more advanced, maybe you're doing an hour and a half. That also affects what progress you're seeing. And then type. So type really is whatever equipment you have access to that you're using, whether it's body weight, bands, free weights, which are dumbbells, kettlebells, or machines.
Yeah, and then the VP for everyone, I know this might seem like a lot, but we have a whole program where we are going to address the volume and progressive overload. So you can get stronger and get these benefits. It's really important to keep those in mind. The volume is just basically a number. So if you do 3 sets of 10, the volume is 30. Let's say you're doing body weight squats. If you do 4 sets of 8, the volume is now 32. So that's a way to increase it. Even though it's 2 reps, still that's a great increase we like to see. And progressive overload. Okay, so this is a concept Hannah talked on earlier. This is the one I feel we want to communicate the most with you on this slide, is because when we come in here and we do the same weight, the same reps, the same order, the same tempo, you're going to plateau and you're actually going to get weaker if you keep that same workout. So when you started that workout, maybe you got some strength gains. That's why you like to do it. But if you're still doing that same workout, months after, you're going to actually lose the benefits. You're going to lose strength. So we want to keep in mind, we want to apply progressive overload. This is something we recommend every about 2 weeks. You would do this, increase the resistance. So maybe you go from a 15-pound to a 17-pound dumbbell. You increase the reps, you do a couple more reps, increase the set, increase the tempo, go slower. If you join my classes, I always say that. You don't need to do more, you could go slower. And then exercise selection, which we'll get to you later today. If you're doing the same exercise, like maybe a goblet squat, a more advanced version would be a barbell back squat. Okay, so keep it in mind, progressive overload, super important to find your level, because we're going to do a level up program where we address that progressive overload.
And I do want to touch on, since we have quite a few beginners on here, if you are a beginner, it's going to take around 4 to 6 weeks for you to get the movement patterns down to be able to dabble with the intensity that we're talking about. So you're going to have to train your body how to do a proper bench press or a proper squat and figure it out and learn the move before you can actually start to really load up on weight and challenge and push yourself. So if you're a beginner, take that information, let yourself get some time to get the movement pattern down, and then start to mess with the intensity. Okay. So before we go into the benefits of strength training and why we all on the call should be, I would like to first identify maybe why someone might not want to strength train. So go ahead and throw in the chat why maybe yourself or you've heard someone else doesn't want to strength train, doesn't want to build muscle. Go ahead and throw it in there. No wrong answers. right? Losing flexibility, mentally lazy, those are some barriers, definitely. Injury, yep. Bulking up, arthritis,
Nice.
bad back, old. Women are afraid of bulking up. Yes, boring, injured. All of these are common trends that we hear as fitness professionals all the time. The two most common are worries of injury or getting injured or dealing with an injury, and then worried about gaining weight or getting bulky. So we are going to debunk those. So let's go ahead into why those should not be fears of yours and we should be building strength. So immediately I'm going to target the injuries. Okay. So just by strength training, we're going to help develop and preserve our muscles, our bones, tendons, improve our balance and stability. We're going to prevent injuries, aches and pains by having a good like muscular structure along our body to move more functionally. I actually think strength training is most important for women. It does help balance out your hormones. It's going to help you increase your bone density because as we age, we are more at risk for osteoporosis. It is going to help combat also symptoms of menopause, which we go through naturally. It's also going to help with postpartum. So if you're strength training prior to pregnancy or get into it a little bit after, it's going to help your body bounce back and be more capable. So it's also just going to increase your capabilities. We as women want to be self-sufficient and be able to pick up the heavy stuff around the house and load it onto the top shelf or move the couch from this corner to this corner. And strength training is going to help us do that without getting injured. So injuries, I understand it is scary. If you are training properly, that's what we're here for, where it's going to prevent the injuries and hopefully prevent things to happen in the future once you get started.
Well, thanks, Hannah. Yeah, and I love how Hannah said it's important for women because I know for women it is a little intimidating. You think you're gonna bulk. Maybe you've seen a lot of like the bodybuilders, Arnold, Sylvester Stallone, and all that. And it is a little intimidating. And I think the fitness and the strength community got a little hijacked by the bodybuilding community. But we're here to show you that the strength training, we're focused on the health benefits. So we're talking about health benefits, and aesthetics will happen. But yeah, what I want to point out, I saw a couple of myths that y'all put in, and about the aging one. Strength training, super good to increase your vitality, your metabolic health, right? And also for strength test, it's the best test for your mortality. So if you do a grip test, doctors will use that. That's going to tell them, who's going to age better, right? So that's a really cool recent study as well. Another thing too, I want to point out is if you look on the support a healthy weight, I know some of us are scared about bulking, but the thing about strength training, it's really, really hard to look like a bodybuilder. And if we're doing this for the health reasons, we're not going to reach that bulk area. If anything, we are going to feel more energy. We are going to look more sculpted, right? We are going to feel better when we move throughout the day, and we're going to boost our metabolism. There's not one other exercise or thing you could do that's going to have all these benefits. Strength training, like when it's compared to cardio or classes or anything else, nothing else has all these health benefits. So yeah, that's why we really want to debunk those myths, really beginner friendly, and we're going to have that level up program for you so you can start to learn the movements and get these health benefits that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. And I think we get scared of there's an unhealthy relationship with the scale in today's day and age. There always has been. And I think we get scared to see the scale increase, but we know that muscle weighs more than fat. So what you need to pay attention to is how does your clothes fit? How do you feel? Like Zach said, it's going to boost your metabolism just by having more muscle on your body. You're going to burn more calories at rest, which we all want. We want our metabolism to be up, then we can eat more food without gaining weight. So I think the fear of bulking, you have to train so specific, so specific, and eat so much food. And I guarantee you, if you're not on a plan, it's not going to happen. So now that we've kind of gone over all these benefits that come with strength training, which I love that Zach said, you're not going to get these benefits in any other modality of training. Strength hits it all. I'd like to hear in the chat, what is your reason for building strength? What stands out maybe the most for you? I know personally for me, I have grown up dealing with a lot of injuries through my sport. And if I stop strength training, it's not going to be good for me. I'm not going to be able to continue. I love hiking. I like paddleboarding. I like backpacking and camping. I like playing sand volleyball. There's so much I will not be able to do if I stop strength training because those injuries are going to come back and nag at me. And I'm probably going to get injured again. And I really don't want that. So that's what stands out most for me. Zach, do you have any personal reasons?
Yeah, yeah. So for me, I would say aches and pain. When I do proper strength training, I notice my knee pain. I rehab my knee pain out, my low back pain, but also the metabolism. I don't do as much like cardio or as some people might think, but I have a super high metabolism, and it's honestly because I really prioritize the strength training. So that's always nice, and for that too, for aging, I just want to feel when I'm older, I'm still able to bend down, squat properly, play sports, and do the things I enjoy as well. What are they saying in the
Awesome.
chat, Hannah?
I know everyone's reasons in the chat, their deep whys are really powerful.
Oh,
I
okay,
love some of these.
nice.
Preventing injuries, wanting to be active later in life and just feel better, um, injury recovery, being able to pick up your kiddos. This is all such powerful statements. So hold on to these and use that as motivation for why you should progress a little bit and keep upping your strength training. Okay.
Well, thanks, Hannah.
Yeah. So let's go into the basics. When we are strength training, we got to select the equipment. Okay. So it's really use what you have and what you're comfortable with. And then as you're wanting to progress a little bit, maybe step outside your comfort zone and try different equipment. So this is going to be, like we mentioned, body weight, your free weight, dumbbells, kettlebells, barbells, bands, cables, machines. Use what you have. That's how you're going to build strength. Okay. Um, when we're selecting our exercises, we are going to go for the major muscle groups: upper body, lower body, hit some core. Really, if you do 4 movement patterns, you'll be able to hit every single muscle in your body. So upper body push, upper body pull, lower body push, lower body pull. And if you don't even have time to do those 4 exercises, you could do an upper push or a lower body pull. You could pick one from each, a lower and upper, and balance it out that way. And we will be going over these exercises in a bit. We also want these exercises to be compound movements. Compound means multiple joints at a time. So the difference between sitting on the machine and doing a leg extension, where you're only moving your knee joint, compared to doing a squat, where you're moving at the ankle, the knee, and the hip joint. That's going to target a lot more muscles, the squat is, than just the leg extension. So if we're wanting more bang for our buck, let's pick those big compound movements. And we don't need to do a ton to see the results. So we'll go over those a little bit.
All right, and then we want to select a resistance where you can perform about 8 to 12 reps because we're talking about gaining strength and muscle. That's the general rep range we want to follow, meaning you have good form and then you feel like you could do 2 to 3 more. So if you're just doing 3 sets of 10 because you always do 3 sets of 10, it needs to be you're doing 10 reps because you felt like you could only do 11, 12, or 13 with that weight, okay? So it's very important that we keep in mind those reps in reserve and we really challenge ourselves in those sets. And then the last one is a progression. So talking more about leveling up, right, is to select a progression. So there's multiple ways you can do this. Easier ways are just add a little bit more reps. Maybe you add a little bit more weight. Okay. You could also change the rep range, the tempo, like we discussed earlier, okay? So really important to level up yourself by selecting a progression, not a big progression. It could be a little change, and that's going to make that little difference so you can get those health benefits.
Good stuff. Yeah, the progression is super important. So try to take that, because I'm sure that's not what a lot of people, maybe you guys know about the equipment, the exercises, and the resistance, but do you actually know how to progress? So definitely take note of what Zach just touched on. Hey, Zach, you're muted.
Oh, sorry, it's busy in here. All right, so we're gonna demo some exercises. So I'll just go over it real quick. Hannah, you can see me okay, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I'll go over the squats. So the squat exercise, this is one of those compound movements. We're going to show you 4 today, okay? And these are going to be in the Level Up program. So if you're new to strength training, or maybe you don't do it as consistent, we're probably going to start you off with the goblet squat. That's where you're holding a dumbbell or kettlebell here. And then I'll also show you the barbell back squat. So I like to use the kettlebell for our goblet squat. Now, there's pros and cons, benefits for each one. So for this one, we're just gonna hold it up here, chest is tight. I got my feet about shoulder width apart. I'm gonna just push my hips back, sit into it, breathing in, breathing out. So that would be 1 rep, right? Breathing in, breathing out. Now I'm gonna do as many as those as I can till I get to about 2 to 3 reps in reserve, okay? Holding the weight here, it's going to utilize a lot more core. It's going to require a lot more posture. It's a little bit more functional. When we do the barbell version, which I'll show you as well, the benefits of the barbell is we're just going to be able to go a lot heavier. You're able to hold a lot more weight on your back versus in front of you, right? Barbell squat compared to the goblet squat, you're going to use a little bit more glutes probably, whereas the front squat, you're going to use a little bit more quads, okay? So I recommend you using a rack, and I got my safety bar set up here, so it's right at the end range. So I like to take it off, and then I take my step back. I pack my lats down. Same movement, pushing my hips back first, breathing in, sitting into it, maybe owning that position, breathing out, okay? And same thing here. Maybe we're going a little bit heavier, but we still want to reach that rep in reserve about 2 to 3, okay? So those are the squat movements. Compound lift, you're going to get a lot out of it and get those benefits.
All right, good stuff. Okay, next we'll go into lower body pull. Okay, so when we're doing a lower body pull, we're going to talk about a deadlift. Okay, let me tilt this down a little bit. We got to go through this a little bit quick. So on the deadlift, we are going to combine a hinge and a squat. Okay, so we kind of want to pull it, make sure we're pulling the shoulders back and down. Push your hips back all the way down to the floor with that kettlebell and then pulling up. So this is the beginner level deadlift, okay? Pushing back, shoulders are back and down the whole time. We're not rounding, that spine stays straight. Then as you want to progress, you can do a deadlift with a barbell, okay? At the Corvallis gym, we have the Hex Bar gym. I recommend, or Hex Bar. That's what I recommend a lot of people to use because the weight is out to the side with the hands, okay? But that's also going to be a movement that's going to target your core, your back, your glutes, your quads, your hamstrings. You're using it all. So a lot of bang for your buck there.
Nice. And then our next one, yeah, I'll go a little faster. So next one is going to be our barbell row. This is going to be one that really works the back. Okay, so I'll just show you real quick. So barbell row, I'll just show it body weight. Okay, so no matter what equipment we're using, dumbbells, it's a little nice because we can use our hands in a different way. We're not locked position. But when we're doing this exercise, I'm going to start standing up, push my hips back so my back's straight, and then we are going to breathe out, driving those elbows in, squeezing those back muscles, and then releasing down. That would be my 1 rep here, okay? So really like this one. It really works the back. Some of you said for posture reasons. This is one, especially if we're on a computer all day, really opens up your chest, strengthens those back muscles, okay? So this is our upper body row for the back, and Hannah's going to show us our upper body push.
Okay, upper body push is going to be our bench press. You could also do an overhead press, okay? But bench press, Beginner, you could also try push-ups, incline push-up on a wall. This is going to work our chest, our shoulders, and our tris all the way back. What I commonly see people do is that their back is flat like this. What I want is you to pull your shoulders back and down, add a little bit of an arch in the back, squeeze the glutes, lower to about your chest, a little bit lower, and then press straight up, nice and controlled, okay? There's a lot of variations you can do here. We can do one arm at a time. We can add a little pulse. We can do slow on the way down, pressing back up. But it's a good exercise to strengthen the chest, the shoulders, the triceps. Again, getting a lot of bang for your buck.
Thanks, Hannah. And Hannah's not going to say it, but Hannah can bench a lot more than
that. I have a pretty strong upper body.
Yeah. Yeah. So everyone, if you like those exercises, we're going to just repeat, we're going to do all those exercises in the Level Up program, and you're going to have more options to ask us questions and work on the proper form. You get to see how many sets and reps you should do, and a little bit more technical. But we wanted to show you the 4 that you could do. Even if you just did 1 a day, that would be a really good start. Maybe practice the movements, and you're going to start getting those benefits. Yeah, so just things to keep in mind with strength training. We didn't touch on it too much, but we will more if you join our program, is a proper warm-up. There's a bunch you could do for a proper warm-up. The best warm-up is a specific one. So before your squats, maybe you do a lighter weight or body weight squats. That would be a really good warm-up before you do your resistance squats. Same with the bench press. Push-ups are easy. A push-up's a great one as well. We want to focus on control and slow movements. So those reps, we're breathing properly. We have the correct posture. Okay. Once you can no longer control it or have the right posture, that is technically failure. Okay. So maybe you could force 5 more reps, but we're only talking about reps in reserve, good reps in reserve. Okay. I think I really,
Zach,
really.
I want to touch on that. We had a question. So why wouldn't you want to go to failure?
Yeah. So what the research shows and what I see with people is going to failure, there's a diminishing returns. You're going to get just as good benefits not going to failure, and then the injury risk is a lot lower. Now, there are times to go to failure. If you're a beginner, you might not know what failure is, and when we're going those higher rep ranges, it's relatively safe to go to failure to kind of learn, because some of us, if we're new to strength training, a lot of people, when I work with people, they're so much stronger than they think. So there is benefits there. But once we're in a consistent, and you're doing this consistently, there's no longer any benefits. If anything, we're more likely going to get weaker. We're going to overtrain. So we want to keep those reps in reserve in mind. Thank you for the question. Oh, and then the rest, I really want to point the rest. Hannah brought up all those classes earlier and why effective strength training means you're doing proper rest. And I know a bunch of us, we think we got to be doing jumping jacks and running around between sets. But when we're doing strength training, proper effective strength training for the health benefits, it's really important that we rest. So you're going to rest anywhere from 90 seconds to upwards of 5 or even more minutes, depending on how heavy you're going. That's so we can get a proper set in for our second and third set. So rest, super important.
And if you don't feel like you need the rest, you need to adjust something on the fit principle that we went over earlier, whether it's how much weight you're lifting, what type of exercise you're doing, how many sets you're doing, your reps. You need to adjust something because it's not challenging your body to actually get into progressive overload. Okay. So on all of these other bullet points, we do want to point out that we are a free resource here to help you. We know that common barriers are that people don't know where to start. There are injuries you're dealing with, and time. Finding time is really hard. And so us fitness program managers are a free resource that HP provides. We're going to help you build a simple plan to get started. We'll pick an approach that really fits your schedule. So if you only have 20 minutes twice a week, 1 time a week, we're going to make a workout that's good and efficient for those 2 days for you to progress and see results. And we're going to help you make sure you're doing it correctly, preventing injuries, and going to improve the way your body moves. Okay, so feel free to reach out to us. I know we're coming at time, so we'll wrap it up on the next slide and let you all get out of here. Lots of good questions in the chat too. We will get back to those.
Yep. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so like Hannah said, 20 minutes, that's enough time. If don't feel like you have to go do a full workout, go ahead, try one of these exercises that we showed you. Practice the skill if you're a beginner. Don't worry about, the failure or reps in reserve. Working on the form for a month, that's going to be a solid one. Being mindful of the progressions, all the options we told you. Something else, you could attend a strength class. I teach 2 Cupid strength classes a week. You can use that link to join those. And I also, and Hannah as well, we teach strength classes on site.
Yeah.
Hannah, tell them about Level Up.
And then, yeah, progression, like we said, is so important that we created a 3-week program named Level Up to help you progress. That starts on March 17th. The link is in the chat box. Here's the QR code as well. Sign up for that. No matter what level you are, it's going to be a good motivation to progress, level up your workouts, and see some progress. Okay. And then I'm going to stay on. I don't know if you can, Zach. If anyone has questions, they want to come off mute and ask, we will try our best to answer them. And then we'll probably go through the chat and answer some of the questions once we wrap up.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, and I'll stay on for a while. I like answering these questions. So
yeah. Anyone have questions? Yeah, go for it.
So I try to come to the Monday workout classes that we have, and based on everything we said today, what are the ways that like the mindset that I or others could be using in the Monday or Wednesday, but I know Monday we do more strength, in order to get some of the benefits y'all were talking about?
Yeah, that's a good question. It is really hard to teach a class that follows enough rest, because when Zach and I are talking about rest, we're talking about 90 seconds to 3 minutes of rest in between your sets, which isn't going to be as logistic for my strength circuit class that has 23 people in it. So what I would encourage, if your goal truly is to build strength and get stronger, you rest a little bit longer than maybe what my timer says, and challenge yourself to pick up the heavier weights and not be able to go the entire timer's duration. Okay, so if we have a timer that's 40 seconds of work, and you're only able to get to 30 because you're pushing yourself, picking a heavy up enough weight and then resting until the timer goes again, that is where you're going to be able to tap more into that progressive overload, but still be joining a strength class.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And earlier you guys said between 8 to 12 reps with 2 or 3 in reserve is a good rule of thumb.
Yes, that is exactly how I train my clients. That's how Zach trains his clients. That's how we're going to build muscle.
So if we have a weight and it's like, wow, I can make it to 10 and then I'm wiped, that's about right. To make it to 10 and then you said, I can't do anymore, I need to take a break.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. Maybe you could do another 1 or 2, but you might fail on that 12th one. Stop at number 10. And the more you practice that, the better you'll get at reading your body and what fatigue level you're at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Good question, Anna.
And something about the reps too. We say 8 to 12 because that's what the research shows. But it is a good idea to always switch it up. So you can always go heavier and do more. But if you're just starting, that's where we probably want to stay at for most people. There's a lot of questions in the chat. You want me to answer some?
Yeah, any that stand out. And then if anyone wants to come up mute and ask, go for it.
So I have
yeah, go ahead.
So I have a quick question. If we're home based, right, and so we're limited on kettlebells and things like that, we have bands and all of that. Is that going to be good enough? I used to do weight training before I moved, and I haven't found a place to do it here. So I'm kind of stuck with doing it in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Linda, I know you joined my classes, so.
I do.
Yeah, so it's good to see you here. Yeah, so bands are great. You can always, I try to communicate, but keep in mind you could change up that tempo, right? Bands are really great. I know it's hard for most people. Adjustable dumbbells are the best. I know not all of us can have them, but just be mindful of the tempo. Maybe you do a pulse version. Maybe you do more reps than I'm telling you to. Just try to reach that reps in reserve as best as you can with the equipment you have. I know it's tough without a full gym, but there's definitely ways to still do it. I like doing pause reps, slow reps, or pulsing reps. that's a good way for you to.
And I want to
increase.
chime in. We have 3 muscle contractions. So that's going to be like concentric when your muscle is shortening, and then eccentric when your muscle is lengthening, and then isometric is just when we're holding. But say you're using bands to do a bicep curl. That'll be very basic to explain. So when our muscle is shortening, that could be a regular tempo, like 1 second up. But if you go nice and slow on the way down, that's going to cause a lot more muscle gain, because the eccentric part of our exercises is when our muscles have the micro tears to then rebuild. So use your bands and start to like go 4 seconds down on your exercises and see if that changes it for you.
And so like they were saying, I'm sure a lot of us on this go to all your other classes. Are there things that you can tell us if we don't have access to going into a gym like what's behind y'all?
Yeah, I think you just have to make the most of it. It's going to be obviously more optimal to have more weights and variety, but you can make the most of an at-home workout. Like if you're busting out push-ups every day, like change your push-ups where you're going like really slow down and up. And that's totally going to change the intensity. And so us as trainers are going to try to incorporate that in the classes as much as we can. But try to also, we're not always going to do that. We're going to sometimes just teach a class that people want to come and get a good ab burn, So always feel free to, once you learn more of this, make the adjustments based off what you feel is best for yourself.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Yeah. Good question.
Will anyone else want to come off me and
Hannah-
ask us anything?
Hannah, we have a question. Alternatives for bad lower backs and their discs.
Yeah. Was that regarding to like bent over rows, you think?
Yeah, like some of your exercises or just in general, even what would you recommend if somebody does have a bad low, quote unquote, bad low back?
I can speak to that.
So I would definitely recommend using a bench for support, because we still want you to train your back musculature. So our benches, when we're doing rows, it does take a certain skill level to be able to do a bent over row without affecting our back. But we can put this bench at an incline and then take the support away from the back, have our dumbbells down, and then we do our rows in this position. So right now I don't feel any support or any pain on my low back or any type of hinge right there, but then I'm still going to use my back muscles to pull up and squeeze. Use your biceps, your rhomboids, your lats, your traps. And the same thing goes, I love lat pull downs. We're not going to have to bend over for that exercise, pulling down right here. As far as deadlifts and squats go, you've got to just focus on your core strength to be able to have that more like structure to protect that spine. But sometimes we do have back injuries that take a long time to heal. So that's when I would say leg press machine is a good spot to be able to still do the squatting motion, but without having load on the back.
Okay, and I think somebody was trying to chime in. If there's anything we didn't answer, feel free to come off
Yeah.
mute and let us know. Okay. Another question was, what technique will turbocharge metabolism? Is it higher weight and or more reps, less rest between sets, maybe supersetting, compound movements, etc.?
Go for it, Zach.
So for this one, when we're talking about metabolism boosting and strength, it's about focusing on the strength. So we're not trying to do a bunch of things all at once. We're just trying to do the big compound exercises like we showed you, the squat, the deadlift, the row, the press, trying to get really strong in those. That's the best way to boost our metabolism. So we're just focusing on the strength. It's not about doing one exercise and doing the other one, or doing an exercise and then running. That's actually going to hurt our strength gains. So focus on the strength, and the muscle will grow, the metabolism will grow. But yeah, it's being really efficient in those big lifts. Okay, so yeah.
I don't think supersets are a bad thing. I think supersets are great when we're doing like opposite muscle groups a lot. So if you are short on time, we might build you a plan that is like pairing a push with a pull. still needing to rest a little bit in between so that we can still grab that heavier weight. If you're going so fast back and forth, like 30 seconds of rest, it's not enough. At least give yourself 90 seconds in between those supersets. But it is a good way to be efficient with your time. But like we said throughout the whole presentation, pick your exercise, do 3 to 5 sets, 8 to 12 reps, 2 reps in reserve, and that's going to put on more muscle, and then our metabolism is going to increase due to that increased muscle.
I've got a
Awesome.
question.
Yeah.
That's
So what are your feelings or thoughts on mixing days of strength training and like alternating with HIIT training or something like that? Because I really like HIIT training. I like the results from it, but I know I don't get as strong as fast if I would just to do strength training, but I can't do a lot of strength training because of my joints can't take much, it'll take time to build them up. But I was a guy with a bad back questions. I've got discs that allow me to do stuff normally, but if I really push it, I'll get injured.
I do think that there are tons of great benefits from HIIT training.
Mhm.
We will always talk about a well-rounded routine. So that's like at least 2 days of strength where you're hitting every muscle group. I think like a high intensity interval training day is great. And then maybe like a steady state endurance training day and then a mobility day, that would be an all well-rounded routine. If you want to tap into that HIIT training zone, I would say you could add it at the end of your strength workouts. I would never do a HIIT workout before I went into strength training. I would want to use all my energy to push myself where I can to build strength. Then at the end, challenge yourself, challenge your endurance levels, your muscle fatigue, do that HIIT workout. But I would still prioritize the strength training first.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good question.
There's a question about sometimes exercise progression being limited by forearm strength or tightness.
Okay.
Would
Yes.
you recommend forearm strengthening exercises or stretches or what?
Okay, so yeah, for me, something I like to say is if your strength's improving a lot, if you're like me, I have really small hands. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer for some certain body parts to catch up. So if you're limited, your deadlift's limited by your grip, right? I wouldn't rush it. Something you could do is maybe go lower and go slower, like lighter with the weight. If you haven't done like chalk before, I'll use chalk during my pull-ups or deadlifts, and it does help a lot. Or liquid chalk, that's a good one too. Yeah, the hands do limit, but there are techniques and ways to do it, but that is also part of it. So the grip might lag a little bit behind. You could for sure get away with doing grip exercises on maybe off days, not going to failure or anything, but doing some type of grip strength. I like to do just holds. Like you could do dumbbell holds for maybe 20, 30 seconds or dead hangs. That's a good one to boost your grip. I would do that probably on my off days or at the end of my workout, just to add a little bit more grip specific training. Hannah's a gymnast. She might know more.
I will say, people will ask me about straps, and I don't necessarily, I personally don't use straps.
I'll use
because,
them.
I'm not lifting enough to the point where I don't have a strong enough grip, but you can use straps if you feel like that really is a barrier for you to be able to push yourself and pick up the weight that you know you're capable of. So that's also an option too.
Yeah. Like
And
I'll
I
use
did-
straps when I do RDL because I'm
Yeah.
trying to work out my legs and my hands limit me. So sometimes it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I did want to touch, someone said that they had open surgery less than 2 years ago. My dad also had open surgery, heart surgery this last summer. And so anything you need to watch when you're doing strength training, I say start with the basics because a big traumatic thing happened to your chest. And so, but we need to build that musculature back. So start with really light dumbbells, bench press, or start with a machine and then work your way up as your confidence level builds up. But all in all, like that area should hopefully be healed now and you should be ready to get into strength training. And I also think I know, but strength training has a lot of great heart health effects. When you're strength training, like your heart rate is going to get up. If you're pushing yourself to the right intensity, you are going to get a higher stroke volume. So you're going to be able to pump more blood out of your heart as when you're day-to-day living, because you're building the strength of your heart, and that can happen from strength training. So just a fun fact. Okay, team, any other questions? We can be on a little bit longer.
Really
What
good
about
questions.
diet?
Okay, I
Especially
kind of answered that one.
protein intake. Oh, okay, sorry.
But I could say it
I'm
again for everyone.
scrolling.
Yeah, yeah, we want to do a high protein diet. So there are certain numbers you can look up, but I like to tell people a gram per body weight, your goal body weight. So for example, me, I eat a little bit more, but we really high protein diet, especially breakfast. When you have a high protein breakfast, that sets us up for a good day. You're going to feel more full. You're going to be less likely to eat more other things, right? So if your goal body weight is 150 grams, 150 pounds, 3 meals, that's 50 grams a meal. So we need to really focus on that. And that's going to help us boost our metabolism, fat loss, and everything as well. So we didn't talk about diet and sleep, but those and strength training all go hand in hand together. You need all of them.
Yeah, there was another question about diet regarding if daily calorie deficit does not help to reduce belly fat, what would be recommended to lose belly fat? And I'll chime in on that one. Oftentimes belly fat is caused by inflammation. And so one thing you might want to consider if you haven't already is going to a whole foods based diet instead of eating processed or food out. A lot of times you'll see a reduction in the inflammation in the belly area by going to a whole foods diet. So look at what you're eating. Does it come out of a wrapper of any kind,
Yeah.
or does it come from the ground?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Agreed.
and talking about that too, processed food, like the food label can be off by like 20%, like it's allowed to do that. And also for the caloric deficit, maybe it's hard to track. You got to actually track everything, your oils, your liquids. And then if it's not working, focus on just building muscle, because then we're going to boost our metabolism. And then in that caloric deficit, we're going to increase our deficit even more. So more than likely, you're maybe not in a deficit, but I would say focus on increasing the strength and switching to a whole foods diet. That's like me. I ate a whole foods diet.
And I will say that strength training and building muscle takes time. You have to stick with it, and it has to not just be something you decide to do for the next month and see if it changes. It has to just be part of your daily routine or your weekly routine as anything else in your life. And then you got to stick with it. That's how you're going to see the muscle gains and the metabolism increase and our injuries go away. It's not just a temporary solution. It's a lifelong practice that you need to implement.
Yeah, and the belly fat, unfortunately, when we do create a calorie deficit, we can't tell our body, hey, take the fat from the belly. I want to keep the fat in certain areas and take it from other areas. Your body doesn't listen to you like that. It keeps the fat where it needs to protect your vital organs and also where it changes throughout your aging process, where the back body stores fat and where it burns it from. So unfortunately, we can't really control that. But as you continue to create those calorie deficits, it eventually gets there once it's taken the fat from the other areas that are not vital. One question was lifting heavy versus doing more sets and reps. Did you already do that one?
No.
Okay.
So what was the question?
Yeah, if you what's better or what's the difference? It just says lifting heavy versus doing more sets and reps. What are your thoughts?
Which do you recommend, or what's the pluses and minuses of lifting heavy versus maybe not getting to that point, but doing another set, more reps?
Okay, so like rest periods versus weight. Yeah, so there is guidelines for this. So the heavier you go, and heavy's relative, right? So heavy lifting I would say anything like 6 or less reps. That's what I would consider heavy. When you get to those lower rep ranges, so say you're doing 2 reps of something you could do 4 times, right? It's really heavy. You're gonna want to wait at least 5 minutes, honestly. In that time, you could do stretches, maybe another lift that's not gonna affect it. When you get to more like 5 reps, 6 reps, that's probably more like a 3-minute rest. And when you get to 8 to 12 reps, that's probably like 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Everyone's going to be different. Some people are better at recovering than others. I think there's a fun study saying that women recover better from legs too, from like hip thrusts and squats. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, I like to tell people you should definitely be able to talk and yap before you do your set. So use that. But yeah, just be mindful of the less reps you do, the heavier you go, the more rest you need. Okay. And that's just, it is what it is. But yeah, 10 reps, probably 2 minutes, 6 reps, probably 3 minutes, less than that, probably 4 or 5.
Yeah. And again, if we want to build muscle, we need to train hypertrophy. So hypertrophy is going to be the like 3 to 5 sets, 8 to 12 reps, but in that appropriate weight range or intensity where you have 2 reps in reserve. If that, I'm okay with towards failure on that last set, but I don't necessarily want failure all the sets.
There was an important question. If you had open heart surgery, anything to watch out for when doing strength training?
I did touch on that, Alita.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
As I was going through all the comments, I didn't quite hear everything you were responding to, but yeah, obviously check with your doctor too on that. Okay. I think we covered most, if not all of the questions in the chat. I tried to get through all of them to get in front of you, Hannah and Zach.
Yeah, and feel free all to just reach out if you have any more in-depth questions. We'll also be covering and answering more questions in our Level Up program, so make sure you sign up for that. And we just all appreciate you taking time to learn about strength training. It means you're prioritizing your own health and wellness and your loved ones because you want to be healthier for them. So we just appreciate you joining and hope to see you in our Level Up program.
Oh, thanks, everyone. See you in Level Up. See you in my strength classes. Thanks, Hannah. Nice job.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.